I lied, bitches. We reviewing Blam. Holy shit, did you guys just feel that? I think I just felt Roy-senpai nutting his pants. Blam is a seinen sci-fi action series written and illustrated by Tsutomu Nihei, and it was serialized between 1998 and 2003 in the magazine Afternoon. And yes, the series is pronounced Blam, like the sound a gun makes. I don't know why they decided to put an E on the end of the title. But whatever. So the world of Blam takes place in what I'm assuming is the very distant future on an artificial structure known simply as the city. The city is populated by humankind. You have transhumans who are basically like modified superhumans. And then you have the silicon creatures who are basically cyborgs. Now our story follows a man named Killy who is equipped with a gravitational beam emitter, basically the coolest fucking gun you will ever see, as he journeys through the city in hopes of finding a human who possesses net genes. Now, when someone possesses net genes, they are able to connect themselves to the net sphere, which is basically this crazy version of the internet that controls everything going on in the city. You see, many years ago, people lost control of the net sphere, which has caused the indefinite expansion of the city. It just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger with no stop. It has also made the Safeguard, which is basically a legion of cyborgs who are meant to defend the net sphere, go a bit fucking crazy, as now they are set on wiping out every single human who does not possess a net gene, which in this day and age is almost all of them. So yeah, Killy hopes to stop this, and along the way he is joined by Sibo, an engineer girl who he meets. Yeah, so that's all I'm going to tell you about the story. It sounded absolutely crazy and complex. Yeah, it kind of is. But I have to say, Blam has some of the most unique storytelling I've ever seen in a manga. Because honestly, this manga has such little dialogue that it's actually kind of incredible that they were able to tell a story like this. That's right, a majority of this series is just art. This series can give us just 5 chapters of Killy walking through the city, you know, occasionally fighting a silicon creature, without anyone saying anything. Now obviously there has to be some dialogue, and there is, you know, where you're not completely lost throughout the whole thing. But yeah, other than that, you don't really have much dialogue to work with. And with a story this big and complex, and with a world with so much lore, just how do they do it? Well, that's where the environmental storytelling comes in, which is something that I never really had to talk about in manga reviews, because every time, you know, something happens in the manga, you see something going on in the world, someone's like, oh man, that's shitty, let me tell you a story about all this, about how it all happened. Blam is just like, nah, here it is, okay? Figure it out for yourself, you piece of shit. And yeah, that's what you have to do while a lot of things are gradually explained throughout the series. This series really leaves a lot up for interpretation about the story, about the characters, about the world. And it's honestly really quite fascinating to read. And that's why the series really gripped me. I was able to finish it really quickly. I mean, like I said, there's not much dialogue. It won't take you long to read. But I just couldn't stop chapter after chapter. This world was just so interesting to me. You know, I was reading theories. I was reading the wiki just to learn more. I was just super invested in this world. It's not a series that's heavy on character drama or plot twists or anything like that. It's just so unique, and that's what made it so much fun to read. Although sometimes I do wish there was, you know, a bit more dialogue, a bit more exposition. I'm all for showing, not telling, but there are times where things can get a bit convoluted and hard to wrap your head around, especially later on in the series. Like, you're gonna have to be attentive as fuck to figure out what's going on. I do wish the series had a different ending though, because I don't really feel like I was fully satisfied with how it ended. It's just such a massive world, so many things could be happening, there's so many potentials for different stories to be told, and it really only felt like a snippet of what this world has to offer. So anyway, about those characters. Now, with so little dialogue, it's really hard to give proper characterization. That's the one area where I wish this series could have been a bit better. Now, the characters, you know, Killy and Sibo, like, they're all fucking badass, okay? Their designs are awesome. I'll talk about the action scenes later, but like, holy shit, you cannot help but just love these characters. But there really isn't much to them, because the way the series is presented doesn't really allow for that. There are a lot of minor characters and some villains, but again, there really isn't much to their characters. They only really present a way to set up conflict or expand the lore of the world. So yeah, there really isn't much to say about these characters, and I really would have loved to learn more about them, but this series is about the journey. It's not about how they got there, it's not about how they will end up. So for that reason, it really isn't that big of a deal, and it didn't didn't hinder my enjoyment of the story at all. Now, the big thing we got to talk about is the art. Now, usually I say, oh, stories come first, characters come first, but no. Now, fuck all that. If it weren't for Blam's excellent artwork, it would be shit. This dude Nihei is fucking legit. The world he creates, the atmosphere, the tone is absolutely spot on perfect. His style is very dark, he uses a ton of ink, but it just fits the series beautifully. And because so much of the story is told through the environment, it made me appreciate his artwork so much more. That's really what you read Blam for. It does have a very interesting story and lore, but if you're going to buy those master editions, you're doing so for the artwork. Now don't forget, this is an action series, and a significant amount of time in this series is spent with Killy and company fighting silicon creatures. And the art is unbelievable. Everything just looks so fucking beautiful. Keely's weapon, the gravity beam emitter, can do some pretty serious damage. I mean, it only just looks like a small handgun, but oh boy. Oh my god, and the monsters they fight, the silicon creatures, the cyborgs, they look so fucking cool. Just everything about the artwork in this series is unreal. If I had to find one problem with it though, it's that sometimes the faces of the humans, like I complain about faces a lot, but the faces of the human characters sometimes do look a bit off. Yeah, other than that, the artwork here is absolutely incredible, and it is definitely the reason why the series is so enjoyable. So those were my thoughts on Blam. Now, while I thought the artwork was incredible and the story was very interesting, I do feel like it was lacking in a few areas. But overall, it was a great short read, and I do recommend it to fans of science fiction, and I give it my final score of an 8 out of 10. If you want to own Blam for yourself? Oh boy! Now, at the time I'm recording this, Blam has been licensed by Vertical, and they are releasing it into 6 master editions, which are giant omnibuy that have a couple volumes each. Now, I have seen these at the bookstore, and I flipped through them. They are very good quality, and if you're a super fan of Blam, I'm sure you're gonna love them. But I do find it a bit hard recommending these, just because of how quickly it takes to read Blam. With so little dialogue, you're gonna be able to get through one of those things in well under an hour, which wouldn't be that big a deal if they weren't so fucking expensive. So yeah, very nice releases, but if you're one of those people who likes to get some bang for their buck, then you may just want to go digital. They also made some anime stuff for it. It's all CGI. I don't know if it's any good. You guys will have to let me know. This guy also wrote a bunch of other series, and you're gonna have to let me know how those are, because, you know, if they're anything like Blam, then I'm definitely interested in checking those out. With that, thank you all so much for watching. You can leave your thoughts on Blam in the comments below, and with that, I will see you for real this time in my full series review for Magi.